Hey everyone, welcome back to the Health Bridge. This is Dr. Pedram Shojai here with Dr. Sarah Gottfried.
Hello everyone.
Hey, so we got a handful of questions about our gongs and what we've been doing, and so we wanted to take a quick show to catch up with you guys on all the happenings in our world, and a few people had some questions for us. So I'll start with you, Sarah. How's it going? I know you were sick one day and were really struggling to get your items in. How'd it go?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I feel like it's helpful to talk about the gong and what to do when real life gets in the way. So I'm glad we're going to take that on today. You know, I texted you because I wanted to have an accountability partner and not, basically shank on my gong without running it past you. So I was sick with the flu pretty bad last week. Not just one day, but like 5 days. And so I was asking you, okay, what can I do to adjust? And so I was doing my push-ups on my knees, kind of girl style. I was not swinging the kettlebell. I was doing some lunges. I was still, developing the habit, which I think is so important with the gong, but I wasn't going all out as if I was in CrossFit class.
Yeah, and that's, you know what, you still did what you needed to do and you committed to do, and at the same time, you didn't kill yourself trying. But the point is, how important is it for you to honor your word and do it? I mean, look, if you get hit by a bus, it's different math. But if you have it within you to modify and, you get back on your feet, then great. So I'm proud of you for doing that. It's not easy.
It's not easy. How about you, Pedram? How's your gong going?
So far, so good. We actually had questions from somebody. I think Joe was asking. Let's see. Joe wanted to know: have we had to restart our gongs yet, or have we followed our intentions flawlessly? And the answer, Joe, and this came on the Facebook page. So healthbridge.com Facebook.com/the Health Bridge, guys. We are reading it. And so the answer to that is, so far so good. I had a really tough week last week. I've been in New York on business, and I was meeting with my book publisher and just bopping around, like literally from breakfast to after dinner, like cocktail stuff, nonstop for 6 days straight. And I'd turn to them and be like, guys, I got to go over and do this thing real quick. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And a deal's a deal, right? So it was a challenge getting it in. It was a challenge with the time zones. One night we went to this thing, and I had a couple cocktails in me, and I still had a couple gong items to do. So I'm sitting here doing push-ups, dizzy push-ups. But the fact of the matter is, you got to do it if you committed to it, because most of us are used to failing and failing at our word. And that's what takes away our personal power. So it's about building personal power and doing it. And I don't purport that it was easy last week, but it is what it is. You just got to do what you set out to do, and that's what makes life better. It's what makes you a master.
Well, I have to add that my husband had a great time seeing you in New York last week. I think he went to bed somewhere around 2:00 in the morning that night, but I appreciate the visual of you doing push-ups before you went to bed. So I want to add on to this point you're making about personal power, because I think that when you have a commitment like the gong for 100 days and you accomplish the task that you say that you're going to accomplish, it creates this sense of integrity that is unlike anything else in your life. I mean, it just creates this sacredness. It creates these virtuous cycles that I think are so important. And I wanted to ask you, Pedram, about what you do with your gong over time. You have mentioned that you had some issues with your SI joint, swinging the kettlebell around. It's hard to get to a kettlebell sometimes when you're traveling. I'd love to hear more about some of the adjustments you did make, beyond the push-ups before you went to bed, in terms of your gong over time. We also just crossed the 30-day mark, and I wanted to say to our friend Joe that I did have to restart my gong. So I went through day one and tried to, get it all done. I was doing my push-ups. I think I did 30 before I went to bed that night. And then I realized as I was drifting off to sleep, I didn't do my full amount of meditation time. And so I had to restart the next day. So I'm a day behind you, Pedram. But we also just crossed the 30-day mark, and I have some new things for my gong. But tell us a bit about how you adjusted for travel.
Yeah, I mean, It's a great point. It's, I'm not going to pack a kettlebell when I'm off in New York. And so what I did was say, okay, I need to make a travel allowance. And my plan wasn't to travel very much, but life happens, right? We have a bunch of meetings come up. I got to go. And so what I did was I modified to say either I'm going to do push-ups for my upper body or pull-ups, at 100 a day. And then I switched my lower body to say I could either do lunges, I could do squats, or I could do kettlebell swings. And then after talking to my physical therapist and looking at a high-low full body workout, I also went into lawn mowers, which is you take a weight and then you drop down, you pull it back up, and it's a complete full body, works the plank, works everything. And so I mix it up enough so that I don't get tired and sore. We had a few people going like, man, I'm already so sore from my push-ups that I can't do it. And so traditionally what I used to do is build in a recovery day or two. So I would say, 5 out of 7 days, I'm doing this, and then 2 days are for recovery. This time, I really wanted to kind of push the envelope and get myself going, but you got to mix up your exercises and give yourself an allowance, because if you say you're going to do pull-ups, and then you're in a hotel room without a pull-up bar, you're hosed, and so you don't set yourself up for failure.
That's great. That's great. I also, I feel like as I look at the data on habits and what really helps with creating good habits, this brings to mind a book that's on the New York Times bestseller list, I think by Charles Duhigg. I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly. But he talks about Keystone Habits, like doing things first thing in the morning that then help you in a easier way kind of get everything else done. And I think this is something that can really be leveraged when it comes to the gong. Now, I believe, tell me if this is true, one of the Keystone Habits for you is your Qigong in the morning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Before you even pee. And the reason is to reabsorb your energy and lock in eyes, mind, body, and breath. And the reason we do that is that you get up, you're in a dream state. It's really easy to stumble around for a good 90 minutes in the morning before you lock in your focus. And, next thing you know, you're halfway through your morning and you're like, sitting there sipping coffee, reading a bunch of emails instead of doing what you set out to do that morning. And then you're mad at yourself because you're not getting done what you said you wanted done. And so for me, it's really about corralling in the focus with the intention first thing in the morning to say, look, if I start reading my emails, the world's going to pull me away, and Lord knows where it takes you, right? It's like, this email leads to this, and then you reply here. Next thing you know, it's 11 o'clock, it's lunchtime, and you've lost your morning. So for me, it's about saying, what did I commit to doing this morning? Mornings are my big chunk time. That's when I get done the serious stuff. I got another book coming next year. We're making movies. It's when I get into the leave me alone, let me work time. Then you kind of take a break and then you come back in. So for me, that's my lock in the morning, is getting that ritual to set the intention and the clarity for the rest of that day.
Nice. And for our listeners, we are all about giving you alternatives. Pedram doesn't pee before Qigong. I definitely pee. You know what I'm saying? I've pushed 2 small basketballs through my vagina, so I'm going to pee in the morning before I do Qigong. I just want to make sure people know there's lots of alternatives here.
You don't need to be crazy like this guy.
Yeah, not crazy crazy in some ways like this guy. So what about modifying your gong over time? You talked about, mixing it up and doing pull-ups and, not swinging the kettlebell every day. As we talked to Ocean Robbins, I got all fired up about fiber. And I feel like now that I'm getting close to the 30-day mark, probably be there by the time our listeners hear this, what I would like to do is to really have a deep commitment to fiber and to making sure that I'm getting 35 to 45 grams a day. And I also, as I look, I think it's also helpful to kind of survey the bad habits in your life. And I have to say one of my bad habits is cheese. I love me some cheese. And I would like to commit to cutting out all dairy except for the Greek yogurt that I have in the morning. So I'm just talking out loud here about some of the thoughts I have about changing the gong over time, adding to it. What do you think about that, Pedram?
Well, okay, so if we're out in the wild and we're navigating and we say, okay, that mountain over there is where we want to get. So let's get over to this vista and see how to get across that valley. Once we get up there, we say, oh, look at that. If we jump through that ravine over there, we can cut through that other hill and we can get to our destination faster, better, and easier, right? So absolutely make course corrections. So long as it's not a cop-out, right? You're layering things on that are good for you, I would say do it immediately. Right? And so what happens is we get these inflection points where we get a little bit more clarity and we say, oh, wow, turns out cheese doesn't serve me. And I can't afford that. I don't need the wind drag, no pun intended. And so we make those changes and call an audible so we make it better. If you're trying to like cheat yourself, that's one thing. But if you're trying to improve and work your way into a better you, I would say go for it right now and don't waste any time, because Lord knows we don't have the time to waste, right? Your family needs you, your daughters need you, your lovely husband needs you, your audience and your readers. So it's like, we want the best of Sarah. So if that's going to make you even better, then eat the fiber and cut the dairy as much as you can. I mean, for me,
were you going to say cut the cheese?
I totally stopped myself. I knew you would just like spike that down. Yeah, exactly. By the way, for you guys who are going, what the heck are these people talking about? Go to healthbridgeshow.com/gong, and we have a free workbook that walks you right through it, and you can start your own gong and just join the club. It's never too late. What we're trying to do is give you guys tools to help you help yourselves and make it easy. And so this, again, it's free. We're just trying to help. So join it. And then we also posted our own lab tests and what we're doing for our gongs there. And for me, part of the lab test that came in was I'm also very allergic, it turns out, to cow dairy. And it turns out I'm not allergic to sheep or goat. So I've had to make some hacks because I'm not much of a dairy guy anyways, but you know what? It's in everything. It's so hard to avoid it. And so I started making those changes, and so I added sheep yogurt, and it's great. And guess what? All of a sudden, after a few days, I felt better. I felt more energy. You could start to see the muscles on my abdomen, and I was like, "Oh, those guys!" Right? It's like the fruits of your labor are actually there. And so it took a few days, but that lack of dairy, the antibody reaction that your body has to something that you're allergic to, really takes a lot of your energy. And so it's just for anyone who knows what I'm talking about, it's night and day. If you don't know what I'm talking about, an elimination provocation diet or doing proper food allergy testing can change your life.
That's right, less wind drag. And my husband did report that Pedram is looking mighty cut these days.
You like that? He said,
yeah,
"Dude, you're skinny." I said, "Yeah, I've been working, man." I wouldn't go so far to say skinny, but I've lost at my last weigh-in last week. I'd lost 8 pounds since we started, and I just feel great. I mean, it's not like the baby is letting us sleep, but that variable is still there. But the rest of it, I've been able to take control of, and it's made a difference.
Nice. So I can't actually report how much weight I've lost because I only weigh myself once a month. But when I weigh in at the top of the month, I will let everybody know.
Awesome. Yeah, and for me, it's never about the number. It's about how I feel and my chi and my vitality. And I'm able to do more with more clarity and have more fun doing it. And that's my mark of success. So I highly encourage our listeners to find what it is that you need to do, and then get into a framework for doing it to constantly be in a culture of self-improvement, because that's really where the rubber hits the road. That's where you will start to see positive changes and build on those, instead of waiting for time to catch up with you and needing to be drugged and get surgeries and all these other things that happens when we don't take responsibility and step into our personal health. So I'll get off that soapbox, but I'm telling you, man, it feels so much better to do the right thing.
It sure does. Well, I so appreciate this update. Thank you, Pedram. I hope it's of service to our listeners. Anything else you want to add on where you are with your gong?
No, I mean, so far so good. And I just want to say a couple people, let me go find it quickly. We had some requests for the actual Tantra resources. I thought we had loaded those up, but we'll get those on the Facebook page shortly. So facebook.com/thehealthbridge. Please like it and give us notes there. Let us know what you're thinking there, because that's going to kind of be our central hub for information back and forth. It just makes it easier, and we're down for that. So, and then, yeah, Sarah, just keep up the good work and keep us updated on what you're doing, because you're such a busy person that, you know, every little thing creates so much more efficiency, and you would notice it faster than any. And so, you know, any hack that you find that's useful, I know our listeners would find useful as well.
Yeah, let's do a show on some hacks. I think that would be really helpful. And I have to ask you, the lawnmower that you mentioned, I can't visualize it at all. Maybe we could do something on the Facebook page kind of explaining what the heck that is.
Yeah, sure. I'll do a lawnmower video.
Right on.
Yeah.
Pedram does the lawnmower. That has total viral potential.
Totally. I'm working a neighborhood near you. Awesome, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, and let us know what's happening in your gongs, because we're doing this with you guys, and we're doing this to support you guys, and we'd love to hear where your challenges are so that we can help you navigate those choppy waters. We're all in this together.
That's right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.